From Raleigh, you can reach Charlotte, Washington, Richmond, and even Savannah on one Amtrak USA Rail Pass, and turn them into 4 different rail weekends, plus a big 3-night upgrade. If you live in North Carolina, you've probably seen the trains roll through Raleigh Union Station and thought, that looks fun. But it's probably just for people in the Northeast or heading all the way to Florida. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Raleigh as your home base for an Amtrak Rail Pass. 4 weekend trips you can actually take, plus a bigger 3-night run down to Savannah, all starting and ending at this station. I'm keen on the rails, and this is 1 hub, 1 pass, 4 weekends, plus 3-night upgrade. Raleigh, quick pass explicable. The USA Rail Pass is Amtrak's flexible pass for coach travel on most of its routes. It gives you a bundle of ride credits, called segments, that you can use over a set number of days. Each time you board a train and later get off, that's 1 segment, no matter how far you go on that train. For this episode, I'm using 3 simple ground rules. Raleigh is home base and 0 segment. I'm not burning any pass rides just to get here. Every trip is on Amtrak trains the pass actually covers. That means coach on the Carolinian, Piedmont, Silver Meteor, and Silver Star. No throughway buses, no sleepers. Each regular weekend is something you can do in 1 or 2 nights away, and the final Savannah run is a longer 3-night upgrade. With that out of the way, let's walk through what trains you can use from Raleigh. Raleigh as a hub, what trains you have. Raleigh Union Station is served by both North Carolina's state-supported corridor trains and Amtrak's long-distance Silver service. On a typical day, you have the Carolinian, running Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, Washington, New York. The Piedmont, multiple daily round trips between Raleigh and Charlotte. The Silver Meteor and Silver Star, long-distance trains connecting New York with Florida, stopping right here in Raleigh. That combination means you can ride short, 3 to 4 hour corridor legs for quick weekends or stay on for longer, overnight style runs on the Silver service, without ever leaving the pass's coverage. Let's turn that into 4 specific weekends you can actually book. Weekend 1 Charlotte, Queen City weekend. First up is the easiest, a classic Raleigh, Charlotte out and back. You'll use the Piedmont or Carolinian southbound on Friday, and come back to Raleigh on Sunday on the same line. Both trains are state-supported services that run multiple times per day between Raleigh and Charlotte, and both are USA Rail Pass eligible in coach. In pass math, this weekend is simple. Raleigh to Charlotte, 1 segment. Charlotte to Raleigh, 1 segment. So you're spending 2 segments for the whole trip. The ride itself, about 3 hours, with cafe car and Wi-Fi depending on the train. A quick walk from Charlotte Station into Uptown via rideshare or light rail. A museum, a game, or just a 24 to 36 hours in Charlotte style montage. This feels more like a train instead of driving I-40 trip. Same state, same time zone, but you get to relax, film, or read in the cafe car instead of sitting in traffic. Weekend 2 Washington, D.C. Capital Weekend. Weekend 2, we stretch the pass a bit further and ride from Raleigh to Washington, D.C. The cleanest version is the Carolinian all the way. Raleigh to Union Station. Then back on the same train or another Carolinian a day or 2 later. The Carolinian continues beyond D.C. up to New York, which is why it's such a useful through train for this kind of trip. Here's the segment math. Raleigh to Washington on the Carolinian, 1 segment. Washington to Raleigh on the Carolinian, 1 segment. Again, 2 segments total. If you want to mix it up, you can ride one direction on the Silver Meteor, which also runs through Raleigh, Richmond, and D.C. on its New York-Miami route, and the other direction on the Carolinian. Both are pass eligible in coach, and it gives you a chance to show 2 different long-distance consist types in 1 weekend. In D.C., your trains to the park sites can be the National Mall, the monuments, and the riverfront. Quick access to Rock Creek Park and the C&O Canal via metro or bus. The experience of arriving into Washington Union Station by train versus flying into or driving I-95. A real big city terminal that feels very different. Weekend 3. Richmond, River City Weekend. For Weekend 3, we go slightly shorter than D.C. but still cross a state line. Richmond, Virginia. You have 2 main ways to get there. Stay on the Carolinian from Raleigh to Richmond Staples Mill Road, RVR, which is the primary Amtrak station for Richmond. In some schedules, you can also use the Silver Meteor to Staples Mill, then return on the Carolinian or vice versa for variety while keeping everything on pass-eligible trains. Segment math. Raleigh to Richmond, 1 segment. Richmond to Raleigh, 1 segment. So, 2 segments again. This is a great medium weekend. The ride is typically around 3.5 to 4 hours, long enough to enjoy the train but short enough to feel casual. Richmond gives you a different kind of content. Riverfront, street art, Civil War and civil rights history, and a food scene that's gotten a lot of attention over the last decade. If DC feels too big or too crowded, Richmond is your smaller city alternative, still reachable on the same trains from Raleigh. Weekend 4, flex slot from Raleigh. For Weekend 4, you've got a couple of ways you can go, all staying on the same core trains. Option A, second Charlotte or DC variant. Use the extra weekend to show a different style of Charlotte or DC. For example, a ballgame-focused Charlotte weekend or a museum-heavy DC weekend, while reusing the same Piedmont or Carolinian or Meteor structure. Option B, short hop and C corridor focus. If you do want one slightly more rail nerdy weekend, you could try a shorter sampler like Raleigh to Durham or Raleigh to Greensboro and back on the Carolinian or Piedmont, highlighting how the pass also works for casual, sub-3-hour jumps. Whichever you choose, keep the pattern the same. Out Friday, back Sunday, 2 segments if it's just 1 out and back, or 3 segments if you chain 2 short legs together in 1 weekend. For the 4th weekend, I'd either repeat Charlotte, DC, or Richmond with a different focus, or use it to show how the pass can handle shorter North Carolina hops if you're more of a corridor rider. 3-night upgrade, Savannah on Silver Service. Now for the big one, your 3-night Savannah upgrade. Savannah is a regular stop for both the Silver Meteor and Silver Star, the 2 Silver Service trains that run between New York and Florida. The key difference from your regular weekends is that this trip uses more time and potentially more segments, but it's still entirely on pass-eligible Amtrak trains and coach. You can structure it like this. Day 1. Raleigh to Savannah on Silver Meteor or Silver Star. Board in the morning or afternoon, arrive later that day or evening. Nights 1, 2, and 3. Stay in Savannah, historic district, Riverwalk, maybe a day trip to a nearby park or beach using local transit or rideshare. Day 4. Savannah to Raleigh on the opposite Silver Service train or back on the same one. Segment math depends on how fancy you get. Simple version. Raleigh to Savannah on 1 Silver Service train, and Savannah to Raleigh on the same train type on the way back. That's 2 segments total. Variety version. Go down on the Silver Meteor, come back on the Silver Star, or vice versa, which still keeps you at 2 segments as long as you don't add intermediate stops. You're just swapping which train number you're on in each direction. If you want to stretch this pass as far as it feels from Raleigh without overcomplicating connections, this is the trip. 1 big Silver Service ride down to Savannah, 3 nights to soak it in, and 1 big ride back. Wrapping it up, who this is for and not for. This kind of pass only makes sense if you like being on the train. From Raleigh, the short hops to Charlotte and Richmond are a great way to replace weekend driving, and DC gives you a bigger city hit without dealing with airports. Savannah is your go-bigger option. A longer ride and a longer stay for people who really want that long-distance experience on the Silver Service. If you just want one specific trip, say, a single weekend in DC, it may still be cheaper to buy a regular ticket. But if you're looking at chaining 3 or 4 of these trips within the pass window, especially with a 3-night Savannah upgrade, the USA Rail Pass can start to make a lot more sense. I'm keen on the rails. If you want more hub and pass episodes like this from other cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, DC, New Orleans, they're in the same playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next train out of Raleigh.